Hi, welcome to today's Sobriety Motivation. Today I am reading from Seeds of Serenity, Volume 1, Devotional number 6. And this is the Seeds of Serenity book, Volume 1. And this is page 21, and it is titled Overcoming Fear with Faith. Fear is an inevitable part of life. It creeps in when we face uncertainty, change, or challenges beyond our control. But while fear can be paralyzing, faith has the power to guide us through it. Faith is not necessarily tied to religion. It's the deep internal trust that things will unfold as they should, that we have the strength to endure, and that growth often emerges from adversity. Overcoming fear through faith is about shifting our mindset, embracing the unknown, and leaning into the belief that we are capable, resilient, and adaptable. I have enough examples of overcoming fear with faith to fill an entire book. One of those examples comes from my experience with public speaking. I used to struggle with intense fear of speaking in front of an audience. Truthfully, I had an intense fear of speaking in front of people in general, let alone an entire group. I've since learned that public speaking is the number one fear in the entire world. Yes, the world. This anxiety is rooted in a fear of judgment, rejection, failure. Also, being someone who is by nature, I'm an introvert. When I used to drink, one of the reasons why I enjoyed drinking so much, especially in the beginning, is because it treated my anxiety. It was self-medicating my anxiety and my true nature, which is to be more introverted. I'm also a highly sensitive person. And when I drank, that all went away. I felt kind of like a different person. I was much more able to be outgoing and to be social. And it gave me what I now have learned is this false sense of courage because I wasn't really being my true self. And since I've stopped drinking, I've been able to not only really identify and learn about myself, my true nature, but embracing my true nature as a gift rather than something that I need to change. I'm so much more comfortable in my own skin now, and more so than I've ever been able to be in my entire life. And I think that is because I am no longer putting alcohol in my body. But it took a while. It took a while to start to really learn about my true self and who I truly am. And a lot of that is, of course, we have our true nature that we're born with, right? Like me being more of an introvert than an extrovert is something that is a part of my personality. I think it was how I was born, it's a part of my DNA. But there are other characteristics like integrity, honesty, kindness, caring that I've been able to cultivate within myself. I'd like to think that my true nature is to be kind and caring, but I haven't always behaved that way. Like my actions haven't always matched my my words, my values, and this is something that I share over and over and over again is that as a sober person, as someone who no longer changes the way that I feel and think by putting alcohol in my body, I am able to act in accordance with my values and my true nature more so than I've ever been able to in my life and more than I was ever able to when I was drinking. And that feels really good. It feels really good to be able to behave in a way that truly matches what I desire, who I desire to be, and who I truly am. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, moving on. None of that was a part of this reading. So, moving on with the reading, fear often stems from the need for certainty. We feel failure because we cannot predict success. We fear loss because we cannot guarantee permanence. But faith reminds us that even without certainty, we can still move forward. A person who trusts in their ability to learn and adapt does not need to see the whole path ahead. They only need to take the next step. Eventually, I realized that if I wanted to change, then I had to change my approach. I began shifting my focus from the fear of failure to faith in preparation and practice. Instead of focusing on worst case scenarios, I chose to believe that I could improve. The first few speeches were nerve-wracking, but over time, my faith in my ability to handle the discomfort helped me to overcome my fear. Now, public speaking is something I embrace rather than avoid. Do I still get nervous when I have to public speak? Yes, very much so. But I don't let that fear interfere in my ability to be present. So much of my fear of public speaking really was rooted in judgment. And the more that I worried about how other people were going to perceive me rather than my perception of myself, the worse that became. So when I was able to practice letting go of judgment, letting go of judging others, and especially letting go of judging myself, and of course, by not putting alcohol in my body, the circumstances of having to judge myself, right, feeling bad about myself and my actions was reduced by the very nature of just not putting the alcohol in my body. Because when I put alcohol in my body, I cannot guarantee what I'm going to say, what I'm going to do. And I would often act not in accordance with my true nature and my values. So the more that I was able to love and accept myself and really embrace my true nature, then the less I felt fear of being judged by others, because people see us the way that we see ourselves. So if I'm thinking to myself that I'm unworthy or I'm not smart or that people don't like me, I'm going to bring that through my body language, through the way in which I speak to people, that's going to come through, and people are going to then respond to me in the way in which I view myself. And this is true of everyone. And it's an unconscious thing, right? Unconscious in that we don't realize how much the way in which we view ourselves is influencing the way that others view us. So work on that relationship with you. That's the most important relationship you're ever going to have. And how you view yourself is going to dictate how other people view you as well. So, last paragraph, overcoming fear with faith involves a shift in perspective. Many of the most meaningful experiences in life, love, personal growth, and new opportunities require us to step into the unknown and out of our comfort zones. If we always waited for absolute certainty, we would never take the risks that lead to fulfillment. Fulfillment. Faith empowers us to trust that even in setbacks, there's something to be learned. It reframes failure as part of the process rather than a final verdict. When we cultivate faith in ourselves, in the natural ebb and flow of life, and in the wisdom we gain through experience, we transform fear into fuel for growth. And then moving on to the daily practice, which is it starts with the morning reflection. Identify a fear that is holding you back. And then the prayer for peace. Ask God to replace fear with faith. And the gratitude practice lists 3 moments when fear helped you overcome a challenge. And the daily affirmation, repeat the affirmation, I walk in faith, not fear. Moment of silence, reflect on a way you leaned into faith today. Breathe in faith, breathe out fear. Imagine a warm light filling your heart and dissolving your worries. Be still and know that you are safe. So whenever I'm in fear, I need to ask myself the question, where is God in all of this? Because if I'm in fear, I'm really not trusting God. And I have learned that as long as I put in the footwork, and you're probably hearing the noise pollution of the workers outside, people mowing the lawn. I apologize for that. But as long as I stay in the present moment and I put in the effort, that whatever happens, that there are going to be blessings on the other side of all difficult circumstances. Probably for me, the best example of that is going through the struggle of my addiction and ultimately being able to recover from that. I'm able to look back at those really painful and difficult circumstances as blessings in disguise. And that now that I am on the other side of it, I can see that. And that's given me what I call a sober reference. Like I'm able to look back and see that every single difficulty that I was faced with and that I moved through made me stronger. And so now when I face a difficulty, I remind myself, right, that ultimately there's a lesson in this. It's helping me to stretch out of my comfort zone. It's challenging me in a way that's going to give me more strength ultimately. And that there's going to be a blessing on the other side of it. I don't need to necessarily know what it is today, right? Nor did I know what it was years ago with all of the challenges that I faced. But what I do know is that I will handle it and that I've handled a lot of difficult things in my past. So I feel pretty confident that whatever comes my way, I'll be able to handle it again. So trust in that, trust in yourself that you can do hard things, right? And that every time you do something difficult, you are getting stronger. So that's it for today's sobriety motivation. I hope you found it helpful. I apologize for the noise pollution, and I hope you'll join me again next time. In the meantime, I wish you a very beautiful, blessed, and a sober day today.